Hello, hello, hello. I want to welcome you guys back to another edition of Dirty Talk. I am your host, Dirty Cuttz, and I'm here with the lovely
BP. What up, what up?
All right, so today we have a special guest, a phenomenal woman, goes by the name of Mrs. Amber Baker. Dr. Amber Baker. All right. Let's go and get on down to the dirty talk. I've been waiting for you to get here.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. So, Miss Amber Baker, what is it that you do?
So we got to do the housekeeping first, right?
Okay, hold on.
Housekeeping.
Okay, because before I tell people what I do, and they say, "Well, why she show up looking like that?" I need them to know that I was not told that there was going to be any visual to this. So, for those of you who are listening and watching and saying, "Why is she dressed like that?" That's because I didn't know there was any video, people. So what I do is, in my professional career, I've been an educator for 27 years. And 2 years ago, I decided that I was dissatisfied with how public education had continually been defunded at the state level, and how we couldn't get paid for teachers, and we were losing resources. So I got pushed into my purpose. And so when Representative Derwin Montgomery, who held this seat before me, decided to run for Congress, I got a couple of calls from people in the community saying, "We think you would be good with representing us in Raleigh." And so at first I was a little resistant, and I was a lot resistant. But anybody who knows how God works, confirmation comes by twos and threes. And so that first call came about running. And I had been thinking about running for office, but I was going to do it after I retired. And so the first call came, and I said, well, let me think about it, because I hadn't ever run for office before. But I have been involved in the community, doing community work in my role as principal and as a grassroots organizer. And then I went to an event that Saturday. And so while they were talking politics at the table, I was listening to some Motown at the Delta Arts Center, eating some good food, and was not wanting to engage in any political talk. And then I heard somebody say, well, we have our candidate sitting here at the table. And again, I'm listening to the music, eating, enjoying myself, and then the table got quiet. And so I turned around and everybody was looking at me. And so it was a table full of diverse women. It wasn't just black women, but it was some white women in there as well. And the really great thing about that is that there was some consensus amongst everybody at the table that felt like they could do this, that I could do this with a little bit of support. And so that was the confirmation that I needed. And so I was like, let's do it. And so we ran the campaign with little to no money. I raised less than $10,000, which is unheard of for a state level race. You usually have to raise about between $50,000 and $60,000. And I didn't have a staff. And everybody that kind of helped me do this, my campaign manager, shout out to Ray McMiller, had never been a campaign manager, but heard me speak at something like this, right? If you know Brittany Ward, she kind of does a weekly podcast interview. And in that interview, Teray was like, I'll help you. And so together, she and I tried to figure this out, and had a lot of people who paid lip service, but very few people that showed up. And so it was hard. And just kept working, ran against LaShawn Huntley, who's a native son, born and raised here in Winston. Parents were big-time pastors, CEO of the healthcare center. And so as a woman running against a man, it presented some challenges. But, we just stayed on task, stayed focused on, and stayed on message, and had to believe in the work. And just kept. So we won the primary, and then I had a Republican challenger and white male. And so it got, a little harder. But came November, I came out the winner. And so
that's what's up.
And so what was your title? for people that may have missed it?
Oh yeah, so I am the I'm representative in North Carolina House District 72, finishing my first term and running for re-election. So we run every 2 years, and so my first term will end in November, and hopefully in November I'll be elected for a second term.
Wow.
So everybody get out and vote.
Vote.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the last day of vote.
Tomorrow, so early voting ended Saturday.
Okay.
So you had 2 whole weeks to go and vote. But tomorrow, May 17th, starting at 6:30 in the morning, from 6:30 to 7:30, you need to go to your polling locations to vote. And unfortunately, if you're not registered to vote, unlike in early voting, you could register and vote the same day. If you're not already registered, then unfortunately you won't be able to vote in the primary, but you will be able to vote in the general election, which is in November. But we need people to go out and vote. There's a lot at stake. You won't see the judges' races on your ballots tomorrow, but that's really, really important. And it is important that we get the right people on the school board. We have 28 people running for 9 slots. And if you kept up with everything, we know the craziness around CRT, which is not taught in schools, and how they're really trying to control what gets taught in schools. And so it's important. And if you keep up with Roe v. Wade, right now the Supreme Court is considering overturning that. And what will be the gap stop for that will be your state legislators who will uphold making sure that if a woman chooses to have an abortion after weighing all those decisions, that they still will be able to do it in a safe manner. So right now, it's important who we elect to our legislative branch, be it the North Carolina House or North Carolina Senate, because we are the firewall for that particular piece of legislation.
Got you. Now, when you say the 72nd district, what are you representing for those who don't know?
Yeah, so my district is a small portion of East Winston. So with the redrawing of the maps, I don't know if people kept up with that, but we had to fight to get the maps that we got, which are still bad, but they're less bad than what they were before. So I have all of Carver School Road before I had half of Carver School Road. So you come on down Carver School
That's
Road.
my alma mater.
Yeah, my daughter too. Come on up New Walkertown Road, all the way over to First Street. Come across First Street, come downtown, have all of downtown, going over to Country Club, Buena Vista, Robin Hood Road.
Okay.
So have 32 precincts, and I have about 50% of that side of town belongs in District 72. So very diverse. I tell people my district consists of, a liquor house and the White House.
Okay, because I was going to ask, what would you say the percentage was of the black community that you actually going to be servicing? So
my population, the black community, is probably about 35%, 40% of mine.
That's a lot.
But it's not the majority. And so a lot of people think that this district is predominantly black, but it's not. In reality, it's actually more white than it is black.
Wow.
So you have to be able to kind of negotiate that, right? And the other half of East Winston and the south side is for District 71. And so pretty much the minority community has been split in half between 2 districts. So not one district predominantly.
How unfortunate is that?
Well, it's all by design.
Is that fortunate?
It's all by design, right? I mean, they're not going to give us a concentrated area so that our voting block can really make a difference. Whether you're talking local politics, right?
Well, is that where you come into play?
So I'm a part
Can we change that?
We can change it. So here's a
I'm sorry, Britt.
Well. Here's part of it, right? If you didn't send in your census, if you didn't do your census,
Okay.
then you need to go on and punch your own self in the chest right now.
Why?
Because we were undercounted in our city, and so we lost the opportunity to pick up some additional representation for Forsyth County. That's how hugely underrepresented we were for the
You hear
census.
that, peoples? We got to turn in the census.
Got to turn in the
Quit
census.
kicking these people off your front porch. Let them count.
Let you count. Yeah, and you could have did it by phone. You could have went online. So just know that we missed an opportunity to pick up one, possibly two additional seats, not only in the North Carolina House, but we could have picked up at least one more congressional seat. So to your point, the question you were asking, so part of our responsibility as legislators is to draw the state and congressional maps for our state. And because I'm a part of the minority party, which is the Democrats right now, we're not in charge of anything. That's why we had to fight so hard, and there were a number of organizations that actually sued the Republicans for the maps that they initially drawn because they were so gerrymandered that the way that they had drawn the maps, it would have been impossible for people's vote to count. So in winning the judgment that the maps were so unfairly drawn, we were able to get a little more balanced maps, but we still need to do some work on actually creating fair maps. And the only way that is going to occur is to make sure that we elect a legislative body that will take and create fair maps. So unfortunately, we are kind of stuck with this set of maps now. We have one more opportunity to do some redrawing in a few districts because those maps, the courts had determined that there's a couple of counties that the maps need to be redrawn. But for the most part, these are our maps. These are it. We hold these maps for another 10 years. So again, if you don't think voting has consequences, you don't think the census matters, that's what happens. And not only does it affect your voting, it affects the amount of federal money we get when we are undercounted in the census.
So is your ward considered the North Ward or no?
So part of my ward, so mine is a district, right? Okay. So the wards are city council. So part of my district is North Ward. I live in the North Ward. Okay. And so, you have the North Ward, Northeast Ward, East, South Ward, Southeast Ward. Those are your city council lines. And so my district is North, Northeast, East, and some of South Ward.
So let me ask you a question. If somebody like myself with a 10-year-old wants to know how to get involved or hear you speak to what is going on in the communities and stuff, where would we be able to find you, or where would we be able to connect with you besides just the internet?
So let me say this. You can always go to ncleg.gov, and all 120 members of the House is located there, as well as your 60 senators. And all you have to do is click in, it'll say members, and it brings up all of our information. It tells you what district we're in, it gives the office info, it gives phone info.
It can tell you how much they make.
Well, I can tell you how much we make. We make less than $14,000
a year. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, y'all should get paid more than that.
We should, and so even that is a gate.
You get good incentives and
No. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back to that for a minute.
Okay, all right. Okay.
We're gonna come right back to that.
Okay.
So that would be the best place to start. And also on that website, you can see how each member voted on a bill. You can see what bills they introduced, how they voted on bills. You can also, when we're in session now, it used to be that the only way that you could tell what was going on in Raleigh was to physically go down, but now there's no reason for people, when we go back in session in another 2 weeks, why people should not be able to just go on and click when we're in session, and you get to see everything that is occurring. You can always look on YouTube, like many of your watchers are doing today. So there is no reason why people shouldn't be informed, and you should know who represents you in Raleigh. A lot of people don't even know
Right.
who represents them in Raleigh, and we only do two things: we pass legislation and we pass legislation and we do the budget. So a lot of times when people have community issues, I'm not that person. So they also need to know who represents them on city council. They need to also know who their county commissioners are. They need to know who serves them on the school board, because all I do is get the money into the city.
You just get you the one that get the money there.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were able to get over $200 million into the city.
So check this. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you
Go ahead.
off. You know, I've been having this little thing that I want to ask.
Sure.
We have the North Carolina lottery.
Yes.
Here,
Yes.
and it says towards education.
Yes.
And I know,
Yes.
I know for sure that people play,
Yes.
and that there should be no need for the educational system to be lacking.
You're absolutely correct.
Where is that money going to? Or are they just facade and they put on the facade? They just put that on the little brochure just to make it sound good.
So
What's
to be
going on with that?
honest,
Where's that funding?
So that is a great question. A lot of your counties, your rural counties,
Because they went through a lot to vote
yes.
that lottery in here, and they ain't doing right by it now.
Well, yes, that's correct. And a lot of the money is going out to rural counties. There are some stipulations on what counties can do. Right now, the treasurer, who is a Republican, is pushing for us to pass some legislation that would allow that money to be used for infrastructure. And so right now, it's not allowed for infrastructure. And particularly, not only in your rural areas, but right here in our own city. We know it's the tale of two cities, right? We
Okay,
have,
now when you say infrastructure, what do you mean for
so
the
buildings,
Mhm.
right? Wiring, anything that plumbing, anything that has
Big
to
issue
do.
in East Winston when that big pipe broke on 25th.
So the lottery wouldn't be used for that, but say Carver, right? Carver could be
Save.
retro outfit. They could be retrofitted for a lot of major overhaul renovations. Like we save that building, that structure, and upgrade it. So right
You can't
now,
let that go.
right. So right now, the way that the lottery bill is written, we can't use it for that. In terms of where the money is going, I think that is a legitimate question. And to be honest, I have not tackled that particular issue yet, because I decided I was going straight for, with us getting the billions and billions of dollars that we got from the federal government, I was fighting for more of that money to not only go to education, but it needed to go to housing. And it was a lot. It was a lot of pork in the bills. And again, being a part of the minority party, we could point it out and we could let people know, but we didn't have any control over that. And it was unfortunate, because it was hundreds of millions of dollars that were pet projects, right? Money that went kickbacks. And so
this free money, we can do whatever we want.
Well,
we can fund our little knick-knack.
Well, and let me say this in all fairness, so people who know me know I talk straight talk, right? I would have imagined that if we were in control, it would have, the projects would have looked different, but there still would have been kickback projects. So both parties does it. It's just so happened that when we hit that $1 billion landfall of money, we weren't in control of it. So is it right? It absolutely is not.
I'm like, they sending y'all money like this? Oh, hold on, we gotta take control of this.
So we're getting ready to go into. And so the interesting thing is, if you notice, if you check the trends across the states, you have a lot of people that are running for county commissioner, including right here in Winston. And part of that has to do with the county commissioners they're the purse strings locally. And people want to get control of the money that's coming into their cities as a result of all of this American Rescue money. And so that.
Well, ain't that same.
So watch this. Let me ask you this. What is going on is two big projects I've heard of.
Mm-hmm.
The Legacy 2030, which would be happening pretty much between the Wake Forest area and down by pretty much by Kimberly Park area. That whole area is supposed to be renovated, or I'm not sure, but it's a beautiful plan from what the book had in it.
So I've not heard of that.
Okay, all right.
But here's what I'll say: is have you noticed that you're starting to see all of these signs up that say Deacon Town or Deacon Town all over the place?
Yeah.
And so what I've said is
Wake Forest buying up everything.
Wake Forest is buying up everything. Yeah, and so yeah. And if we don't wake up, like I live in the Boston Thurman area, and I've been very vocal about we want that area gentrified, right? We want it to be a better area. We just don't want to do it at the expense of people who live there. So we want to see improvement in that area, just like for years. When we first moved here 40 years ago, we were talking about development in East Winston, right?
Yeah.
Well, the development is coming, but it's not going to be for the people that live there. Exactly. And so and I learned this at Winston State in my geography class, right? I remember
It's you.
Yes, that's right.
That's our alma mater.
Right.
Yeah.
So I remember, and I'm celebrating 25 years. So this is how long ago this conversation was. And our teacher told us that we needed to go to city council meetings. And we needed to see the plans, because when they started putting in infrastructure, piping, and different things like that you knew some type of development was coming. And so this, what we see happening now, didn't just happen.
No.
You know, this plan for downtown and all of this and what happened in Innovation Quarter and all of that is 25 to 30 years in the making. And so we can still stop it, but we are already behind the 8 ball. And here's a piece of information that a lot of people don't know is Winston-Salem State put down the first dollars that purchased the first piece of property in Innovation Quarter. And they did it in partnership with Wake Forest, because Wake Forest could not get the federal money because they were a predominantly white private institution. And so Winston-Salem State, which their name is nowhere in the Innovation Quarter, is...
Well, that's not right. We need to get that on up in now.
And so when you...
Especially as alumnus.
Right. And so when you talk about that, the people who are in the know want to know, how do you know? And so no matter how I know, right? And so...
Also, well, this is to everybody in the Trade 4 area. The Denorris, I heard, is getting ready to close down, and they're displacing a lot of their tenants, and the rent is getting ready to go up to $1,000 per month. They're not accepting Section 8, and the airport has something to do with this conversation, is what I'm hearing. So has the airport been bought?
No.
Okay.
So that's partly true.
Okay.
So about 3 weeks ago now, actually was at a baby shower, and I talked to anybody. And so at the shower, the people were telling me, making sure the people in the room knew who I was and what I was doing. And so afterwards, a woman and her daughter came up to me, and they live in 2 different units in Denorris. And so one said to me, I need some help because I got a notice saying that they're taking me to court, and I don't know why. I've not been late on my apartment, on my rent, and they don't have any problems with me, and what should I do? And I said, well, that's not exactly what I do. I said, but what I would do is talk to legal aid and see what kinds of protections you have. And then when I got home that evening, I got 2 more phone calls and a text message saying the members in Denorris had gotten these eviction notices, and they're getting ready to put all these people out, and they're not taking their Section 8. And then somebody actually emailed me, text me a copy of the letter that they sent. So that was on a Saturday. So it was nothing I could do over the weekend But that first thing Monday morning, I started getting on the phone. I called the Urban League. I called the Housing Department. I called NAACP. I called Councilwoman Burke and what's going on. And so we need to I need to know what's going on with this. And so that's not directly my lane, right? But it is my responsibility because it's part of my district. And so what I was told is that this had been handled, it had been resolved, but nobody could tell me what that meant. And so I said, well, what does that mean? And they said, well, we have a meeting scheduled with the residents on Wednesday, and they are going to continue to take the vouchers, and management's going to meet with the residents. And so they did. Here's my concern.
Oh my God.
Nobody wrote anything down. And the residents, 3 weeks later, I've been calling Councilwoman Burke, and I've been calling the residents that I know. Have y'all gotten a letter yet saying that they are going to continue to take the vouchers? Because they said it verbally. We had it on tape. But they don't have any documentation in their hands. And so we don't know. So in all honesty, and it's going to take the residents keeping this before people. And so the residents that I talked to, this is what I told them to do, which they have not done. And I can't do the heavy lifting. Again, this is not my lane. And some things
we people got to come together as a community.
Yeah. And when I tell you what to do, I need you to do it. And if you don't know how to do it, tell me that so I can help you with that. But I told them, guys, you need to write a letter come Monday and put in there everything that they said they were going to do. And for those of you who recorded it, go back and write it down. And then I said you need to CC the mayor, you need to CC the housing authority, you need to CC city council, you need to CC your North Carolina representative, right? Get it on paper, because that is how you're going to protect your rights. And so that's a long answer to the question. To the question about the airport buying it, that's not true. Okay. But there is some movement around doing some development in the airport. And I was just on a call a couple of weeks ago, and they have no intention of purchasing any of the homes right there on Machine Street that really are on the front side of those runways. And so what I was told is that they have no interest in purchasing that. They're trying to develop the property that's already there. They're trying to work with Forsyth Tech and the aviation build, the program that they put out there. So they're trying to do some development on that end of the county. And my question is always, and will always be, how is that going to benefit the people of color who live on that end? And and so they have assured me that they are working with Carver, and they are working internally with Barbara Burke.
So check it, why these realtors not taking, Section 8 and all this stuff? Where does that leave the black community? I mean, is they?
And
can they legally do that? Or?
They can.
So can one person write a letter on behalf of the tenant?
They can.
Okay.
So this is when I told the housing authority who was there. Like I said, nobody wrote anything down. Housing authority didn't write anything down. The tenants didn't write anything down. Management didn't write anything down. And so I had to translate for the tenants what they were saying, because see, I used to live in Southgate, so I can hear faster than some people can talk. And so when management said, we're going to enforce your lease, and so if you have any violations, then we will evict you based on you not following your lease. So I said, translation, people, if you got a lot of traffic in and out of your house, you can get evicted. Your house nasty, you can get evicted. You don't take care of your property, you can get evicted. So I'm translating what she just said, and she has the right to do it. I said, housing authority, if you're not listening to what these people are saying, they are saying that some of what's wrong in their apartment should be covered by the fact that the housing authority should be doing the inspections and holding management accountable for keeping those properties up to code because they're getting money from the federal government.
Right.
So everybody was mad at me. Management was mad. The residents were mad because they ain't like me saying, your house nasty, you getting put out.
But I'm saying it makes sense though.
You see what I'm saying? Because that's all a violation. And so they come in, they can, all they gotta give you is 48-hour notice for you to do a housekeeping inspection. You fail housekeeping, they usually give you a time, usually within 7 to 14 days of when they're gonna come back. They come back and you fail a second time, you can get put out. They can put you out for that, right?
Wow.
But housing authority, so to your point as to why people are stopped taking vouchers, is part of the complaint is housing authority doesn't pay on time, and it's federal money. So it comes to the housing authority.
It seems like that'll be guaranteed money though.
Well, it should be guaranteed money, and I am not necessarily slamming housing authority because I don't know this to be fact. I only know what people are telling me is that they're not paid on time. And so if you're a property owner, you would think that you would want to take Section 8 because it's guaranteed money. But if they're not paying the rent on time, that's a problem. And
I mean, are they doing that purposely? I mean, what is going on with that? Like,
can't say. I can't say that. I can't speak to that, right? But what I can say is sitting on the front porch while you do what you do in the summertime, talking about all that's wrong with government, in and of itself is what's wrong with government. Because while we sitting around talking about the politicians not doing nothing, these people not doing nothing, you're not doing anything. Mm-hmm. And so some of the lifting we got to start doing for ourselves.
Yeah, the onus is on us.
Yeah,
and that's real. I mean, why would somebody help us if we're not helping ourselves?
Well, and the thing is yes, that, but also there are structures and procedures in place. And again, if you don't know, then tell somebody you don't know so you can get some help. But to not do anything because you don't know and you don't want to tell somebody you don't know how to do it because your pride is in the way, then you land where you land simply because we don't know to help you.
Okay.
Right?
I want to ask the question. I don't know exactly how to ask it, but is there a shortage of black developers?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. So part of the gatekeeping mechanism, right, is that black developers and general contractors can't get the big contracts because
That's the problem.
Right. So they get the crumbs, if you will. They get the subcontracted jobs. And somebody kind of helped me understand this. It's a subcontractor that does flooring. And he's the one, this is before I did politics. He's the one that helped me to understand that we don't have a general contracting company that's large enough to place these bids. And most companies don't have the employees and they don't have the $1 million insurance that they need to even be a part of the bidding process. And so I got to thinking and I said, well, why wouldn't they all come together and then form like a general
union or something?
No, form like a general contracting business. And that they all leverage each other. Mm-hmm. And everybody gets paid equally.
That's a great
Everybody
idea.
has equal skin in the game. So it doesn't matter if you're the painter or you're the electrician. When we get this big bid, 10% of that money is going to go back into this general contracting company that we started, and then everything else will be split up equally amongst all of the contractors. And then if we don't have a particular entity that's a part of that, right, then we go out and we pay that particular business to do that work. And so I call it the whisper theory. The
whisper shit. Somebody need to yell that theory.
Well, the reason why I call it the whispers theory is if you've ever seen Unsung on BET where they interview the whispers, one of the questions to them is, how have you stayed together? Like you've never broken up. And they said, we believe that it's because we split the money equally. So no matter who writes the song, who owns the publishing, whatever money comes as a result of an album or a song, we take care of it. And when one of the members got jailed, they sent his portion to his family to take care of it. So there was no competition. There was no sense of somebody feeling like somebody else was getting more.
Right.
And so that's what I say. And so I've said that to a number of people in the city. Now I'm not a contractor. I don't have no skin in the game. But if somebody don't pick up and run with that, then we're never going to get the big contracts because we just don't have the leverage. And if we do it right, if we have some excellence about it when we do it, it could be a model that can be replicated around the nation, and everybody can eat, right? Everybody can eat.
Right. And that would help with the revitalization of the neighborhoods that we live in and stuff.
And so you add this piece. So like for me, I said all the money that came into the city, I said they should have some type of training program that they are committed to making sure that they have a journeyman program, so that
for Site Tech and Winston State,
and just people, I mean, carpenters and all that. Some of them didn't go to school to learn that, right? They learned it on the job, and so if you add that piece, so you talking about upward mobility now, and the only way that we're going to revitalize our community is we've got to have pathways forward for people to work their way out of poverty. And if we come together and start putting our money together and buying these houses, and then bringing in young men and young women to work on these houses and learn skills, right? And then we sell that house to a black family, a young black family, then we are doing what the Hispanics are doing.
Right. We can go through mechanic and farmers.
Correct.
Get the, saying keep it all black.
Keeping it all black. And so then you'll start to see your schools improve. You'll start to see less violence and crime because we're changing a community.
And that's the way. That's the way we can change it.
Correct.
Dr. Baker, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
Man,
and I want the people to know this. You asked me about pay.
Yeah.
And so for those of you who think that we make a lot of money, we get paid $13,699.
Stop it.
Less than $14,000 a year. People who work at McDonald's
get more than that.
Make more than that. And you talk about the per diem and all of that. Well, the per diem that they give you only get paid one round trip. And the money that they give you for the hotel is like $70-something a day. It is hard to find a hotel in Raleigh.
Yeah, you're going to have to make the difference.
So for those of you who think we're getting rich on this, we're not. But that's a gatekeeping mechanism, right? Because most people can't do this because we're considered part-time legislators. Because in long session we're supposed to be in 6 months. Last session we were in 13 months, and we're coming up on short session, which is only supposed to be 6 weeks, but we'll see. So most of us can't live off of that, and they know that, and so
Wow. So it's hard to even put anything into something like that. You get paid like that.
Yeah. And we don't, and here's the thing, and this is the other thing. People, it takes money to run for office. And so, and then nobody's getting rich off of it. But my cute little t-shirt and the signs and the literature and
we got resources.
People.
We got people that got t-shirt companies, black.
But it takes, and shout out to Winston-Salem Tees. That's who does my t-shirts.
Shout out to Winston-Salem Tees.
And so where I can give money back to our black businesses, right? I'm going to be working with the HBCU Legend Store on Old Greensboro Road to do some printed materials. Okay. So I'm all about, shopping black where I can. But the operative word is shopping. And so it doesn't matter that I have a desire or will to sow money back into black communities if I don't have the money. And so I tell people it takes money. And most people need to understand that when you contribute, it's not me getting rich off of this. It takes gas. It takes hiring staff. People don't want to volunteer anymore. So I'm saying on behalf of my campaign and those that will win the primary, go to people's website. And you know, you can give as little as $5, $2. I mean, it's no amount that's too small, and the max is $5,400. So for those ballers out there,
I know that, right?
yeah.
This is
We need 54.99.
that's right.
Well,
That's right.
$5,400 is the max. But $5,400 is the max. But you get your cousin and you give them the other 100, and they can sow it. So,
Yeah.
and if you really ball it like that, you go on and let all your family go to my website and give your.
And what's your website?
My website is www or vote the number 4 amberbaker.com.
All right.
Yeah.
Dr. Amber Baker, y'all. Do you have any anything?
Well, I did want to ask you.
Yeah.
You seem to be very beholden to Winston-Salem.
Yes.
And I just want to know, why is that?
This is my home. I was born and raised in Louisville. Yeah, I'm a Louisville girl.
Okay,
Louisville,
good to
Kentucky, born and raised. And so don't get it twisted.
I know that, right?
West side of the Ville,
She know how to
right?
fry that chick now.
I do. You don't get to be this size by looking at food. But this is my community, right? This is my home of choice, and it has been. My mom and I have called Winston home for 40 years. And so you can't be in a place, call it home, and not do your part to make it better.
That's right.
And so that's why.
Definitely.
That's
One
right.
more question before we end this. What could the churches do within the black community? It's a church on every corner, and I noticed when I owned my store in the community, I always said we need to go out and pick up trash. Just pick up trash.
Yeah.
You know, I can get the little kids together up and down the street.
Yeah.
That's something that simple. What can the churches do to be more active in the community?
Do something, right?
Right.
So for you, it was picking up trash, right? Somebody like, why is she picking up trash? Guess what? If the community looks nice, then that's a change.
It also value.
So the churches do something. I don't care, something, but don't say it's too big or we don't know what to do. Somebody knows what they can do. And I was just driving through 14 down 25th Street where the shooting occurred last night, and you know, and I counted from Ladera Crest to Machine Street where I was going. There's 9 churches.
Yeah.
And so, and I don't want to get too deep because this might be too deep, but it's spiritual, y'all. This ain't just physical. It's spiritual.
Well, I know this too, that we're in the Guinness Book of World Records of having the most churches in one city.
That's correct.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And for the crime
To be.
that's been done here
Yeah.
is
Well,
it's wicked.
it is. And here's another piece. Stop looking to law enforcement to fix the problem.
Yeah, we gotta get our babies together, man.
Because they're law enforcement. So don't get mad that they locking your kids up. That's what they do. Don't say Sheriff Kimbrough and Chief Thompson they doing their job. We won't talk. We won't snitch. But then we want somebody to fix the problem. And there is nowhere in this city that I don't go. I go down in the circle. You know, I'm in Astor Park. I'm over in the homes. It's no. If I cannot walk amongst the people who look like me, then, and I don't live in Kernersville or Clemens, and I could, right?
Exactly.
I don't live in Buena Vista. I don't know that I could. But I live in the community that is being affected. Again, I live on 25th Street. I live on the upper half of 25th Street.
But still
you
the
know.
neighborhood.
And I want to give you guys, your homeowner, a tidbit. She said something about Buena Vista. I own a home in the hood. Now, I do live in Clemens, but I own a home in the hood. And,
In Clemens?
But when they valued my home, guess where they go to get the value for my home? They compare it to the houses in Buena Vista.
Oh, yeah.
So we have things. Don't ever feel like the black community doesn't have homes and we're not able to have
That's it.
upward mobility, because there's plenty of people that have ventured out but still have homes within those neighborhoods and take care of those homes and have love for the community. It's just we want that value to be up so that we can keep using that equity to open up businesses.
Absolutely.
And buying more properties and doing what we need to do to enhance what we
Absolutely.
already have.
Absolutely. That is an excellent point.
Nothing but beautiful, beautiful, precious black jewels has just been dropping. That just dropped here tonight with the lovely Dr. Amberbaker. Please get your vote on.
Yes, May
You know what I'm
17th
saying? It's
tomorrow.
important. It's important.
Yeah.
It's very important
Yes.
that you get your vote on.
Yeah. And you need to give. Go on and
Give.
get your couple of dollars and
Give and you shall receive.
you can do Cash App. You can do all that. Yeah.
All that good stuff.
Yeah.
Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all here with us.
Thank you for this.
And I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, and like this and share it, and tell people to watch it so they can see what I'm all about. And this is what you see today is who I am, right? And so my delivery changes, but my message don't change. And so if I'm in a room full of white folks, I'm saying the same thing to them that I'm saying in a room full of black folks. The delivery is just different. So you don't get two different people.
I got
you.
You get the dirty
You
talk.
get the dirty talk.
Thank
I know
you.
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all for another edition of Dirty Talk. Peace, love, and hair grease.
Bye.